bro. Damn. Just 10 minutes ago, we got the breaking news from Shams in which he confirmed that Dru Smith did in fact tear his Achilles tendon and he'll be out for the season. And I'm really mad. I'm really genuinely hurt. Injuries suck, man. Like, this shit hurts, bro. Obviously, today is Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas, everyone. But I guess, well, seriously, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to whichever holiday you do celebrate. I hope y'all have a good one. But of course, today is Christmas Eve. You know, I had a half day at work. So after work this morning, I took the 2-hour drive from Fort Myers back here to the childhood home in Broward. Y'all see the big 3 poster with LeBron James covered up with Hassan Whiteside. That's how y'all know this is my childhood family home. So I am fortunate to spend the holidays with my family this week. But I literally just walked through the door and I refreshed Twitter once again because I was refreshing Twitter all morning, really waiting for some Dru Smith news. And of course, I didn't check my phone while I was driving. So it's the first thing that I do when I get home. And then that's when I see the unfortunate Shams tweet that was just sent out 4 minutes ago, which confirms what we all deeply, deeply feared. It was just yesterday in the game versus the Brooklyn Nets where Dru Smith had the ball and he went to take like a step backwards and his knee kind of flexed the wrong direction and it didn't look good. He immediately went down and you could see in his face that he knew something was wrong. So between that and the fact that it was a non-contact injury, that of course initially put the fear of the worst into everyone's minds. Now, I saw a lot of speculation on Twitter. Truthfully, I hate that. Like, nobody's a doctor, and I don't think it's good to sort of put this stuff out there unless you know what you're talking about. In my post-game video, I did kind of say a best and worst case scenario, but that's not me speculating, right? I mean, we've seen injuries that look like that, so we can compare. And sometimes it's like a hyperextension in which you miss 6 to 8 weeks, and sometimes it is an Achilles rupture. So obviously I was hoping for best case scenario and the fact that he would just miss a couple months and be able to come back. But that's not what happened. And it started to sound more gloomy as time went on because people were rewatching the video and some people say they saw his calf pop. I was hoping that's not what we saw, but I also didn't want to stare at the video just because it is such a horrific thing to see. But unfortunately, yeah, he did pop his Achilles, and the unfortunate reality is Dru Smith is going to now have his second straight season cut short due to a season-ending injury. Last time, I think it was last year or technically the season before, where he tore his Achilles or tore his ACL on that stupid Cleveland Cavaliers court where the bench like drops off a foot out of nowhere. So he had that awkward fall while contesting a 3-point shot in the corner. He tore his ACL in his right knee, missed the whole season, and of course he's back this year, and now he tore his Achilles in his left leg. I don't know if it was an overcompensation thing, but sometimes you see that a lot. That was the case with Victor Oladipo when he was here, and it just sucks, man. It sucks for so many reasons. Dru Smith really seemed like one of the most genuine and honest guys. If you listen to the media talk, if you listen to the players talk, there is not one person that has a negative thing to say about Dru Smith. Multiple players, even just your main guys like Tyler and Bam, were saying that Dru Smith is one of their favorite teammates that they ever played with, ever. So the fact that one of the nicest dudes ever, who just came back from a season-ending injury, had it happen again, is devastating. And on top of that, he was really starting to build a career for himself. Obviously, I'd be remiss to not admit once again, like I have almost every game this year, that I was dead wrong about Dru Smith, like most Heat fans. So I know I'm not necessarily even in the minority, but I wasn't a huge fan of Dru Smith as a basketball player these last several seasons. He's had like 5 different stints with the Heat, and I could not understand why the Heat kept bringing him back. I did not see the value in him. Now, of course, I was also devastated last time he got hurt because I don't want to see anyone get hurt ever, right? Like, these dudes are just trying to go out there and do their job and make money to provide for their families and provide this generational wealth. I don't want to see anyone get hurt, especially these guys that are on the fringe of the league like Dru Smith was. So, but regardless, of all that, don't want to see him get hurt. I wasn't a fan of him as a player. But Eric Spoelstra and the coaching staff and front office clearly saw something in him, and they were damn right. Because this season, Dru Smith has been absolutely amazing. And I have said many times that I apologize. I wanted to get out like an official Dru Smith apology video. The comments have been asking for it, rightfully so. And I was waiting until he signed his standard deal, which was going to happen within a couple days here. And it was going to be a great big celebration. I was going to come on here and I was going to give an official apology, sign a form and everything. And now I just don't know if it feels right to do. I mean, I may still do it eventually just to sort of honor him. But it sucks now. It's supposed to be like a nice big momentous occasion. Congratulations, Dru Smith, on your standard. And now he's out. But yeah, he's been off to an awesome start this season. Like, we all kind of knew that his game was on the defensive end. He was a defensive-oriented player, right? And this season, he's taken that up a notch. He has been elite on the point of attack, locking down the other team's best guards. It's been incredible. Every time Dru Smith checked into the game, he was making a play, whether it was drawing a charge, stripping Devin Booker on back-to-back possessions, forcing backcourt violations, intercepting passing lanes. He was doing it all. He was an absolute showstopper on the defensive end, and anytime he came to the game, the team would just go on a huge run. And on top of that, his offensive game took a massive leap also. He was shooting 53% from three this season, and that's on just over 2 attempts. So not only was the defense at like an elite level, but offensively, he's taken a massive jump as well. And that's all just goes to credit the hard work that he's really put in over these last couple seasons. So I have nothing but the utmost respect for Dru Smith, because he is clearly a guy who busted his ass to get to where he's at. And it's impossible not to root for a guy like that. And of course, this season, he was on a 2-way contract. And it was just like a week ago where the Heat traded Thomas Bryant, which opened another roster spot and some salary cap space. This is a spot that the Heat had to fill by December 29th, which is just in 5 days. So, of course, all of Heat Nation expected that extra money and roster spot to go to Dru Smith because he was already playing like 30 minutes a night. He was an integral part of this rotation. He went from last year being a guy that we hated seeing out there to this year a guy who you needed to have out there. It's almost as if the team couldn't sustain a lead when Dru Smith was not on the courts. That's how good he was. And I don't know why he didn't get his standard deal right away the second the Thomas Bryant trade became official. I don't know what this team was playing around for. It seemed so clear and obvious that last roster spot needed to go to Dru Smith. Well, they have 2 open roster spots, but only one can be filled right now without going over the second apron. But it seemed so clear that one of those spots needed to go to Dru Smith. He'd get his promotion from a 2-way contract guy. And then that 2-way contract spot that would now open up would go to Isaiah Stevens, who is an absolute menace in the G League right now. Just dropping 13, 14 assists a night, leads the G League in assists. He continues to be incredible after his amazing summer league run that he had. It just seems so obvious. So I have no idea why the hell the Heat did not give Dru Smith that contract right away. And now we're sitting here just a few days later, torn Achilles, out for the season. Who knows when he'll be back and how he'll look when he'll come back. Now, fortunately, an Achilles injury is not as devastating as it once was. It used to sort of be a career killer. But now you got guys like Kevin Durant. He tore his Achilles, and obviously he's come back amazing. But you also got guys like Bradley Chubb. I mean, he tore his Achilles last season for the Miami Dolphins, and he looks like he's not going to play this year at all. And who knows what it'll look like when he comes back. So it certainly is one of the more serious injuries, but fortunately with modern science, we're usually starting to see guys to come back. So it will be a long recovery process for Dru Smith, but I have nothing but the utmost confidence that he will continue to bust his ass. And I really hope that this is all happening for a reason. I like to believe in life, that things happen for a reason, especially, good things happen to good people who deserve it. And Dru Smith deserves good things. So we just got to stay hopeful and believe that this is for a reason and it'll all work itself out one day. I think he's 27 years old, so he's not a spring chicken, but he still has a lot of life left in his NBA career. So I do hope he can get back in a year's time and continue this really great level of play that we've seen and then continue to build upon that. What else do we got here? So as far as the impact on the team, it will hurt losing Dru Smith for sure. Obviously, that's kind of a second hand in terms of importance now. We want to hope that his overall health is okay, and we'll continue to monitor his progress, I guess, over this next year. I don't know if the Heat will still give him that contract or maybe keep him on a two-way, because I do believe you can only rehab in-house if you're under contract. So who knows what the Heat are going to do there. I do wonder how that's enforced, though. Like, let's say the Heat waive Dru Smith and he still wants to rehab at the facility. Like, who's going to enforce that? Like, unless the Heat have a snitch inside the organization, how the hell's the league office going to know whether Dru Smith is rehabbing in-house or not? I don't know. But, of course, yeah, we just wish the absolute best for him. And this sucks, man. Today is a sad day for sure. So going forward, they obviously, the Heat still have this roster spot they need to fill within the next few days here. I don't want to make this video about potential Dru Smith replacements. Maybe we'll have that out tomorrow or the next day, since tomorrow's Christmas. I'll kind of see when I find some time here. But I just want to quickly talk about a few of these guys, just so y'all can kind of get the wheels turning on who you might want to see, because the Heat are definitely in an interesting situation now, because if they decide not to give Dru Smith that contract, which maybe they won't give him the standard, maybe they'll keep him on the two-way, that does make things interesting for where they'll pivot. Of course, there's a couple veteran guys out there like Dennis Smith Jr. is kind of the guy we've heard the most. Maybe just because he was just on the OGs podcast that released yesterday with Mike Miller and Udonis Haslem. And I will say I love Dennis Smith. Those two guys love him. And if Udonis Haslem loves you, you know you got to be a hard worker. Dennis Smith Jr. certainly is. He's an absolute dog. I think he's a Heat culture guy. Still only 27, former lottery pick, lots of athleticism. So there still is some potential there. And he does have some NBA experience where I think he can contribute right now. Another veteran name we've heard a lot is Markelle Fultz, who is somehow a free agent after having a pretty decent season with the Orlando Magic, I guess, relative to where he once was. Of course, former #1 overall pick, and then things kind of went bad for him. There was the whole weird thing about how he lost his jump shot, and there's some medical ambiguity there. But regardless, he did have a nice bounce back with Orlando. Seemed like a decent guard that can defend and play make at a relatively high level. So those are a couple vets we're hearing. And if not one of those guys, maybe they promote someone in-house. Maybe they give Josh Christopher that standard deal over Dru Smith, and then that still opens up that two-way spot for Isaiah Stevens, because I certainly think that the Heat need to lock down Isaiah Stevens before someone else steals him. And Josh Christopher is still on an absolute tear in the G League, like just dropping 20, 30 points a night. And although he's not the defender that Dru Smith is, I was very happy with his defensive abilities and effort in the Summer League. I think he's a guy that can use his athleticism and size on that end, while also, of course, being a pretty strong contributor on the offensive end as well. But that's just a couple of names. Like I said, at some point, I'll get another video within the coming days talking fully about potential replacements. But for right now, I just want to say, prayers up to Dru Smith, man. I apologize for every negative thing I've ever said about you. You're an awesome player and even a better person. I wish you the best, and I just hope you come back stronger than ever. So drop y'all thoughts down below on maybe some potential Dru Smith replacements. Drop your prayers for Dru Smith as well. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'm on the grind to hit 6K subs, and I'll see you on the next video. So Merry Christmas and happy Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever other holiday you celebrate around this time of year. I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.